Abyss. It's been out for a while now. Very colorful game, fun to play, not too hard to find unless there's a specific cover that you're interested in which case good luck with that. But I'm going to teach you how to play it. Here's how. This is a game about political and diplomatic conquests within the factions which exist at the bottom of the deepest ocean, in the abyss, as it were. Who would know that there are actually different factions warring against each other all the time down there? But there are, and this game is all about that. Other than just being a really colorful game and pretty artistically, it also has a really cool currency in the game, which comes in the form of these pearls. Everybody starts with one, and it's imperative that you play with it for at least 5 minutes during instruction because it irritates the living crud out of whoever's trying to teach the game. Players earn victory points in a few different ways, but it's easiest just to explain what you actually get to do on your turn. So normally you get to take one of 3 basic actions. First, you can explore, where you try to gain allies for your side. Or you can gain allies by going to the court and picking up ones that have actually collected here through the course of the game. And finally, down at the bottom, you're going to be able to use those allies to acquire one of the lords that's down here. As the game starts off, nobody's going to have any of the ally cards in their hand, but face up on the board, you will find 6 of these lord cards face up that are available to be purchased by any of the players on their turn. But when you don't have the resources you need to go find them, and the best way to do that is to go through exploring right here. If you decide to explore on your turn, you're going to turn over the ally cards one at a time. Now there are 5 different factions of different colors, and each faction has values ranging from 1 all the way up to 5. There are also monster cards in there as well, but I'll get to those a little bit later on. Suppose the first card you turn up is one of these, a relatively high number. There aren't that many of the 4s and 5s in there, so when they come along, you probably want to grab them. But on your turn, if you turned this up, you don't get the first chance at it. You have to give everyone else who's playing the opportunity to buy this off of you first. So in clockwise order, the people on your left, continuing all the way around, have the option to buy this from you for the cost of 1 pearl. If they buy it, they have to give you that pearl, and they're going to get that card. You're going to turn over another card into that same spot and do the same thing. Now, if someone wants to buy this card, since 1 card was already bought, now it costs 2 pearls to buy the card. And so on and so forth. If somebody wants to buy a third card after this one gets bought, they would cost 3 pearls, then 4 pearls, 5 pearls. But if nobody wants it and it comes back to you, you have the option of simply taking that card if you want and ending your exploration. Or you can continue to press your luck and see what else you might find. Turn over additional cards. Some might be better, some might be worse. But if you can manage to get all the way to the end, and nobody wants the other cards that happen to come up because they're low in value, or perhaps it's just not what they're looking for at the time, once you get down to the final card and you turn that one over, no matter what it is, nobody else gets the option of buying it from you. You get it automatically, and you gain 1 pearl as well for being brave enough to make it all the way through your exploration phase. After that's done, regardless of how far you go through, any cards that were left unclaimed up here at the top, these actually filter down into the court spaces depending on what faction they are. So all of my little pink or purple jellyfish will go over here. My 1 blue octopus will go over in this section. And these will stay here as the second option you can take on your turn. If you don't want to go exploring, you can instead choose to take all of the allies from 1 of these 5 stacks. So right now, it's not looking too bad, since if you take pink jellyfish over here, you're going to end up with 3 cards. But if you remember, what you've got to do in this game, there's a 3, a 2, and a 1 in there. Not really the best numerically, but the option of getting all 3 cards at one time, not bad at all. So, as your action, instead, you can choose to take these. And that is, of course, the end of your turn. Just as exploration was, wherever it ends, that ends your turn. Grabbing 1 set of cards here, that is your turn. You use these cards in order to buy the lords down here at the bottom, which also is the only other action you can do on your turn, and it takes your entire turn. To pay for the lord, you have to pay its cost, which is listed on the bottom. It's also, at the end of the game, going to give you a number of victory points listed at the top. Many of them will also have text in the bottom, which will tell you either an immediate effect, which will happen one time, denoted by the little arrow on the side, or it will be an ongoing effect for as long as the card is in play. The cost of the card breaks down to a variety of different symbols down here. The bottom, there is a number which tells you the ultimate value worth of cards that you have to submit. This card having a value of 3, this one having a value of 2, and this one having a value of 1. You will need to submit cards that will total up to a value of 6. Then there are bubbles off to the side that tell you how many different factions you have to use. This one has 3 bubbles, 1 large red one and 2 smaller gray ones. The large red one means that you must use at least 1 red faction card in acquiring this lord. The 2 other bubbles mean that you must use 2 other factions as well. So in order to purchase this card, I have to use exactly 3 factions, no more or no less, and I have to sum up to at least 6 in value, but I can go over in value if I need to. So to purchase this card, I could use, for instance, this red 3, this green 2, and this yellow 2. I have 3 different factions exactly. Red is one of them, and my total value is at least 6. I could spend these 3 cards and acquire this lord as my action on my turn. It's also important to note you don't have to spend exactly this number of cards. You just have to have exactly that number of allies. If I didn't have this red 3 and perhaps I had a couple of red 1s, I could still use this to purchase the card. I have exactly 3 different factions, one of them is red, and my total adds up to at least 6. After acquiring a lord, you also get to affiliate one of the allied cards that you used. Normally, unless there's a condition that says otherwise, you affiliate the lowest valued ally that you used. In this case, since I had 2 allies with a value of 2, I could choose to affiliate either one of them. It's my choice. So perhaps I choose to affiliate the shellfish here. You keep the affiliated ally for the rest of the game, and at the end it might add to your total victory points. The remaining allies are just discarded. In addition to just the victory points, some of the Lord cards also have a key symbol in the opposite side. Keys are important for you to grab locations, another way of getting victory points in the game. As soon as you have at least 3 keys, either through Lords or through these tokens, which you'll get by other means, as soon as you have at least 3 of them, you must acquire a location. You are required to. This is after your turn happens. Normally at the start of the game, they're all here face down in a big stack, and one of them is turned face up for everyone to take a look at. When it's time for you to acquire a location, you can either take the one that's face up, or you can choose to look at 1, 2, 3, or 4 locations that are face down. You can choose to look at as many or as few as you want, but however many you look at, you will choose one of the locations that you looked at to be yours to take for your action. The other 2 will remain face up and will give the other players more options for the rest of the game. So you have to be wary about giving yourself more choices, but at the same time giving your opponents more choices as well. Once you've used your lords to acquire a location, they will actually get tucked underneath it, which will cover up their text. This is the difference between a lord which is free and a lord which is actually being used. This means you have to think hard about certain lords like this one, which give you a very good bonus for as long as you have it out. But as soon as you acquire 3 keys and you have to buy a location, this guy's probably going to end up getting tucked under there. Then you will not have that bonus anymore since he's already been used to acquire a location. That might not always be the case because there is another way to gain keys, and that comes through this little track off to the side, the monster hunting track, which starts with an icon on the first possible set. And as you progress, this is going to go down. How this moves and how you get things determine on your exploration. Instead of simply turning over allies which you may or may not choose to take and your opponents may not choose to take, if you ever turn over a monster card, these things, big nasty monsters, really big because that's a little tiny person in the scuba gear over there. Your opponents don't get a decision in this. This one's just up to you as to whether you want to fight that monster and end your exploration, or you can bypass it and keep going. If you do choose to fight the monster, you're going to gain whatever bonus is off to the side, depending on where this track is. The start of the game, it will be here, so the bonus you can get is off to the side. You will either gain 1 pearl, or you will take 1 monster token. If you take a monster token, it comes from a face-down stack of all of these fun little monster tokens, which range anywhere from 2 in value up to 4, and those are victory points that you have at the end of the game. Each monster card you turn up will progress the monster track, whether you decide to fight it or not. Once this track has gone all the way down to the bottom and somebody takes the 2 keys for the last one, it will reset all the way to the top and keep going. Likewise, the allied deck here, as soon as these cards run out, and they will through the course of the game, you will simply shuffle the discard that's being used and go from there. Each of the Lord cards is unique, and you really have to read what's on it to determine what it actually does. But primarily, the red Lords are the warriors, and they will allow you to affect the other players, attack them, or mess with them in some way. The yellows are primarily the farmers. These will give you straight victory points. Very few of them do anything else. Green are your merchants, which will get pearls for you and bring pearls into the economy of the game, an important thing to note in this. And there are blue mystics and purple, blue diplomats, that is, and purple magicians that do all of the kinds of funky things. There are special lords that are almost like a wild card. They give you 3 keys, which corresponds to 1 location apiece. And the instructions on how you acquire that location are a little bit different than the standard method, so you have to use what's on the card. They'll have a variable number of cost points, but each one of them will have 5 of the gray bubbles. So you have to use at least 1 card from each faction in order to acquire them. Pearls can be tricky to get in this game. It seems like the green lords down here will give them to you. It's very hard to get them another way. You basically have to explore as far as you can go, in which case you're just going to get whatever you're stuck with. But there is one other way to gain pearls as well. That comes when you acquire lords. Each time you purchase a lord card from the row, the remaining cards will slide down. It will not get replenished until a certain point. You can keep buying these and they will slide down, but if you notice there was a little symbol under this space. As whoever is the person who buys a card when there are only 3 left, leaving 2 exposed exposes this section. That person who bought that card will also get 2 pearls in addition to the lord that they've just bought, and the row will then replenish with new lords. Otherwise, this will not replenish unless you choose to do so at the start of your turn. This is an additional action that you can take. If there aren't that many lords left in the actual game, and you're afraid of buying one because it sets someone else up for buying a lord and gaining 2 pearls at the same time, or perhaps you just don't like the choices that are there. At the start of your turn, you can spend a pearl to ask for assistance from the court. So by spending a pearl, you will get 1 additional card turned up. You could even do this a second time, again paying only 1 pearl and turning up another card until it's full. At that point, you can't get any more help. Usually the game will end once 1 person has acquired their 7th lord, then all of the remaining players get 1 final turn. Additionally, if there's ever a need to replenish lords to the court and there aren't enough cards to do so, also the game end will be triggered and the remaining players will again get 1 final turn. Also, at the end, you get 1 final chance to where you can take whatever allies are left in your hand, and you get to affiliate the highest valued ally from each race at that point from your hand. Once all is said and done, you're going to total up all of the points that you have from your lords, from your allies, from your monster tokens, and from the locations that you grabbed. Each location triggers off of some other factor in the game. Most of them will give you some amount of static points and then additional points based off of possibly what allies you have in your possession or what lords you've acquired through the game. Add them all up on your handy-dandy score sheet, and whoever has the most points is the winner and knows a little something about politics at the base of the ocean. So hope you liked this one. Enjoy the game if you get a chance to play it. Very colorful, very pretty. Doesn't take too long to play, and it has a very interesting mechanic in these pearls, the economy of the game. Because starting out, you have very few of these, but as the game progresses, you will begin to gain more of them. So the cost of things will start to go down as the ability to buy them goes up. Plus, it's fun just to play with the darn things. So have fun. Hope you like this one, and we'll see you next time.